Iowa Revolution. My name is Spencer. He's Dr. Bob. How you doing, Dr. Bob?
Pretty good, Spencer. You?
You said a couple weeks ago that you were descending into madness. Are you still descending into madness? I've been thinking about that.
On occasion.
And you said it was a good feeling. You
It's
were
very,
embracing it.
well, it's not a good feeling, but I am embracing it because it's just a lot of things going on. I can't keep up, can't get done what I really need to get done, all kinds of things in the way. You know, mentioned tragedy and it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's not a good feeling. It's just different. And so I'm just going with it and seeing where we go. I don't think I'm going to descend fully into madness, but you'd be the first to know.
I was going to say we might actually see this progress during the Iowa Revolution podcast. So stay tuned for the entire descent into madness. I am certainly embracing this descent into madness, Dr. Bob. Of course, a pack show as we normally do have. First of all, are you a vanilla fan, Dr. Bob? Do you like vanilla ice cream, vanilla flavoring?
Yeah, vanilla's good. Mexican vanilla is the best though.
So we'll see how you feel after the factoid of the week
Okay.
on vanilla. Governor Reynolds has ordered Iowa Guard to assist ICE in the state. So that's news that just came out over the weekend. Also, Trump, his EPA has taken some impaired rivers off of an EPA list that was just added during the Biden administration. And Dr. Bob, you and I have actually talked about this before. So not the update that we would want, but do want to let people know what's going on with that situation. Speaking of the National Guard, Governor Reynolds has called on them in the state of Iowa. Of course, I'm sure most of our listeners know that Trump has called on the National Guard in Washington, D.C. as well. Also, we have an Iowa segment also talking about ICE because ICE is now using AI to identify people, specifically people's eyes and their irises, which is very concerning to me. I mentioned the factoid of the week, vanilla adjacent, and also top five one-hit wonders. Dr. Bob, we did at least my top five worst songs last week. Got a great response from our listeners in the comments. Some agreed, some didn't. So we'll see how people feel about the one hit wonders, top five one hit wonders at the end of the show. So we'll start off with this news from KCRG. The University of Iowa announced Monday that its summer writing festival will be discontinued. Iowa College of Liberal Arts and Sciences has decided to discontinue the summer writing festival due to ongoing funding challenges. The festival will be discontinued starting December 31st of 2025. Iowa Class says the decision is based on the resources required and not a reflection of the dedication or effort of the staff. The Iowa Summer Writing Festival brought adult writers from across the country to lead in-person workshops in Iowa City every summer since 1987. The festival is for writers of all levels and backgrounds, and the Summer Writing Festival says they're forever grateful to all of the writers who have participated in the festival since 1987. So that's a long time for this to be going on. I mean, that's almost 40 years.
Well, yeah, and the ongoing funding, I'm just going to guess, has, some kind of relationship to Doge. It's just, it's funding to explore creativity and the diversity of ideas that comes from, being around people who share your passion for writing, but maybe from different places around the world or different communities than you are in. I'm guessing they just lost their long-term funding from, I don't know this to be a fact, but I presume they lost their funding. I'm here in Smoky Row in Oskaloosa, ran into a friend who uh, runs an arts organization, and he lost his funding for a play because it was trying to appeal to all audiences. And so I presume it's with the University of Iowa. Summer writing program. I've had friends who are participants. I have friends who taught in it. Some of the best writers I know. Um, and so this is just pretty darn sad. One of the best parts about it was all the international people that came with different ideas and their writing. And it was very interesting to me to be introduced to this writing, to give you whole, glimpses into whole other worlds. And I guess President Trump and Republicans, our Iowa congressional delegation, only wants us to see one world, the white nationalist authoritarian ethno state that they seek to create.
Along those lines, too, I just saw before we started recording this Wednesday afternoon that the Trump administration is asking the Smithsonian to look at some of their displays and what they have. They want to focus on American exceptionalism and get rid of anything that would be divisive or partisan. So, again, it's what you just said. They want a white nationalist representation of what they have in their mind as the fantasy of America.
Right. And it's authoritarian. You don't go in and change exhibits and control and censor the Smithsonian while you have National Guard troops, on the streets, and then all kinds of new ICE agents who are probably, a whole bunch of Proud Boys and people like that, all this investment, control of institutions. How anybody doesn't think that this is fascism, it just astounds me. So, troops in the streets, taking over the courts, quashing our college programs, hammering the arts, manipulating the science. They're creating this world that doesn't exist except in their minds as a means to control us and to gain power.
So, speaking of, that leads us into this story. Governor Reynolds has ordered the Iowa National Guard to assist in immigration mission alongside federal agents. This is from KCCI. According to the governor's office, 20 Iowa National Guard soldiers will help Iowa-based immigration and customs enforcement agents by providing administrative and logistical support beginning September 8th. She said this in a press release, quoting Governor Reynolds here: just as we supported Texas when the Biden administration left them to defend the border, Iowa will continue to assist in the enforcement of federal immigration laws, this time by working with the Trump administration to support U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officials in our state. She continued by providing administrative and logistical support. The Iowa National Guard will free up local ICE officials to continue their work outside the office to enforce the law and keep our state safe. The authorization is approved through November 15th, according to the governor's office. During a conversation with Democratic State Representative Angel Ramirez, Iowa's first Latina elected to the legislature, KCCI spoke with her about this move. She said, quote, "I think it's deplorable that the governor would scare her residents like that. I think it's deplorable that we would waste tax dollars on that." She continued, "We're talking about such a small population of our people, our community. These are human beings. We are all people. We all want the same things: love, happiness, and success for ourselves, for our kids, for our parents, and for our neighbors," end quote.
Yeah, well, that logic doesn't work for Governor Reynolds. We're not all the same. We don't share all the same dreams to her. Actually, she knows the majority of them aren't criminals, that the majority of them are good, hardworking people that bring value to our communities. She's just doing what Trump wants her to do. And the cruelty is the point. Having people be frightened is the point. And so, I mean, Angel is being perfectly logical, but not in their worldview. I mean, it's what she is thinking, what Angel is thinking and talking about, and what we're talking about is the America of old,
Right.
pre-Trump. And that's exactly what we dreamed. In that Statue of Liberty, we may as well, let her sink into the ocean because it doesn't represent what our contemporary values are. I mean, ours and Angels, but not the Trump administration. And it's very sad. And also let me say that normally after something like the Guard is deployed, there's what's called an after action review. And the last times that the Iowa National Guard went to Texas, I requested the after action review from the state. And an after action review would be something like, would say, here's their successes, here's what we can learn from. We arrested X number of people, we compensated X number of pounds of fentanyl, whatever. And I was told there was no after action review. So whenever Reynolds does something like this, there's no assessment of what worked and what didn't. There's not even any record of what they did. I did find a few photographs, propaganda of of, people being arrested or something like that, but nothing real or quantitative.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even when you hear people talk about this, Governor Reynolds brought up sending the National Guard down to the border, and you just mentioned, we didn't hear exactly what they did down there, and all they did was go down there for a photo op and
Yeah.
stand around because that's all they can do. And then they'll say, oh, they're there for backup or they're there for clerical work. Is that what we want the Iowa National Guard to be doing? Is that the best use of their time to literally just be standing around?
Well, and what people don't realize is that we lose some of our faith in the Guard. That
Right.
can we trust them?
I'm sure there are people that have joined the Guard in many states that have lost their faith in what they signed up for.
Yeah. And again, we have to say, like on the troops on the streets of Washington, D.C., under, Trump's lies that there's a new crime wave, crime is down, is that they aren't trained for work like this. And putting them on the streets is dangerous to them and to the public.
Yeah, we'll get to that story a little bit later on as well. I mean, they're just literally, I mean, they're picking up homeless people and detaining them. So, like I said, we'll get to that story here in just a moment. I want to get to this story as well. A lot of Iowa news on the show today. This is from Iowa Capital Dispatch, something near and dear to our hearts, Dr. Bob, and something that we've been talking about since the beginning of this podcast is water quality in the state. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has rescinded its previous decision to add 7 segments to Iowa's list of impaired waters due to their high nitrate concentrations. In November, the agency decided the Iowa Department of Natural Resources list of impaired waters only partially met the requirements of the Clean Water Act to identify waterways with identified pollutants in excess of water quality standards. The EPA review of the list identified 7 additional segments with high levels of nitrate and nitrate plus nitrite. Despite pushback from the DNR and comments that the EPA had a quote patchwork approach to regulating nitrate across the country, the federal agency finalized the decision in January. So again, that's from the Biden administration. And according to reporting from the Des Moines Register on Tuesday, so yesterday as we're recording, the EPA office informed the DNR that it has rescinded its decision. A spokesperson for the DNR confirmed the action in an email with Iowa Capital Dispatch. Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement Board President Jenny Turner said the EPA's decision to rescind the segments from the list was, quote, an affront to the health and well-being of Iowans, issuing this reversal on the heels of Central Iowa Waterworks' first ever lawn watering ban and consistently high nitrate levels in these very same water segments is tone deaf, appalling, and dangerous, according to Turner. She said that in a statement.
Well, and this is all part of, creating their own reality. They think that we aren't smart enough to know that the water in the Des Moines and Raccoon rivers are filthy and
It
that
does
are
seem like
dangerous to
very
health.
bad timing because again, they did this basically as that water, ban, I guess, or lawn watering ban went into effect right in the middle of summer. So, I mean, it's hard to gaslight people while the major news story in the state is that people in Des Moines can't water their lawns because the nitrate levels are so high that it might be causing cancer.
Right. And they don't want to let the facts interfere. It's I think the Des Moines that report that the Polk County Board of Supervisors requested that made a big impact too. That 81% of the nitrites in our water are farm related. They don't want that. They were going to take. I mean, they've already been taking away water monitoring stations. They're just going to take away, you know, any chance of us getting any scientific information on it. Just like Trump getting rid of the head of the Bureau of business statistics. I forget exactly what it's called, but he didn't like the jobs report. He didn't like some of
Oh,
the
yeah, the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
labor statistics, and he didn't like it. So he's getting a new director. And so he's filling these people or filling these spots, these jobs with people that are willing to lie and fabricate and obscure. I mean, it's the most corrupt, dishonest administration in history.
Yeah, we know of at least 50 water monitoring sites that have been taken out. And that's another thing, too. They keep doing these things that they say are cost saving measures. These water monitoring sites are, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
They're cheap as hell to make, maintain, and it's a drop in the bucket, literally, to the information that those provide us.
Yeah. Well, a couple
And
of,
if you remove them, then obviously everybody knows that the water is going to get dirtier. The water is
well,
not going to get better by taking these water monitoring stations out of our waterways.
right. No, it's not. And they're just going to be able to tell and any story that they want. I can't, I'm waiting until they decide that they're not going to do press releases on spills into lakes and rivers. I mean, we get these press releases all the time that there was, they killed, 50,000 fish or whatever. They're just going to decide, I fear, that they're not going to do those press releases on those spills. And one of the things I want to say is that a couple of days ago, maybe Friday, I forget, but our friend Chris Jones, who author of The Swine Republic, and also somebody that's really, the tip of the spear on water quality in Iowa, former University of Iowa water researcher who supervised 70 water monitoring stations that were shut down, and then he was threatened, um, by Iowa legislators. He ended up resigning. But anyway, he's the tip of the spear on water quality. He's really moved people to take it more seriously. He texted me 2 or 3 days ago that this was going to happen. This hit the press this morning. He knew about it 2 or 3 days, and he was going to. I asked him if he was going to write about it, and he said he was, but he's going to wait till it formally announced. So Google Chris Jones Substack,
Going to say, I
uh,
believe his
Wine
Substack is
Republic.
also called the Swine Republic. So yeah, just check out Chris Jones Substack and make sure that you follow him because he is, as Dr. Bob said, he's the person to follow. He's the person that knows what's going on, and he's not sugarcoating anything. He's telling you the damn truth. He's telling you exactly what's going on. It may not be the best news, but at least you know exactly what's going on, and in that way, we have more power to hopefully do something about it. We mentioned last week on last week's show, Dr. Bob, that Rob Sand was doing a tour at the Des Moines Waterworks. He did do that last Thursday, did take some questions at a press conference afterwards. And, again, he's not necessarily put forward any concrete examples of what he would do, but I think that is a positive step because I know that, Chris Jones would say this just as much as you and I, but this is not just a Republican leadership problem. This is an Iowa legislative problem. And obviously it's a lobbying problem because I mean, a lot of this is coming from the agriculture industry. So this is going to take both Democrats and Republicans, of course, to actually get something done.
Right. And there needs to be regulations, as Chris has, um, he has a really good, his most recent article about what
Right.
we need to do is really fantastic.
Yeah,
But
he
it's also,
literally has I mean, it's just a blueprint of here's some steps we can take that we know empirically improve water quality in other states, et cetera.
yeah. Yep. So watch out for something from Chris.
Make sure that you follow him on Substack. Make sure you follow us on Substack as well. We're Iowa Revolution if you aren't already following us. Also, make sure you follow Dr. Bob on Substack, Deep Midwest Politics and Culture. Also, Cedar Creek Nature Notes, taking a walk in the woods with Dr. Bob. Let's get into some cock talk here, some political news. Of course, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but this is from NPR. As hundreds of National Guard troops deployed on Tuesday in the nation's capital, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said homeless people in Washington, D.C. who refuse to move into shelters will face prosecution or fines. Quoting Leavitt here, homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services. If they refuse, they will be subjected to fines or jail time. According to Leavitt, Metropolitan Police and federal law enforcement agents in Washington will strictly enforce existing laws that force homeless people off the city's streets as part of an effort to, quote, make DC safe and beautiful. Again, quoting Leavitt here, that involves removing mentally disturbed individuals and homeless encampments as well. Posting on social media platform, Trump also suggested homeless people will be forced out of Washington entirely. He said, quote, the homeless have to move out immediately, in all caps. We will give you a place to stay, but far from the Capitol, Trump wrote.
Yeah. It's just astounding to me that more people aren't outraged by the administration saying they're going to whisk people off of the streets of Washington, D.C. and put them somewhere else. That sounds like, incarceration, the people that need mental health, please give them mental health treatment. They're not going to do that. They don't want to spend the money on that.
No.
They're not interested in spending money on any social services that they have to, especially for the homeless, because they, view them as they should, solve their own problems and become productive members of society when there's all kinds of things going on with people in our mental health. Resources aren't enough right now. I mean, there's
Well, just
probably
imagine how many veterans are in that group of people that
right,
are homeless in Washington, D.C. So you're saying that you're going to just round up a bunch of veterans? Because that's what you're going to do. That's what's going to happen.
right, and then probably veterans that didn't, that they couldn't get the mental health care that they needed. I mean, maybe they
Sure.
could have got it through the VA, but I don't
And we've
know.
also talked about the fact that a lot of homeless in whatever community they're in the country are also possibly working. A lot of homeless
Yeah,
people are working full-time jobs and they just can't afford a place to live.
right. No,
I
and
mean,
yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, I'm sure there's homeless people working at Walmart full time.
gonna say, I mean, a friend and I were just talking about this, how San Francisco is ridiculously expensive to live. And of course, for the tech bros and everybody that works in, for Google and Apple and everything, they can afford to live there. But where do the janitors live? Where do the pizza delivery guys live? Where do all of these people that a society needs? Well, I'll tell you, they're living on the street because they cannot afford to live where they work.
Yeah. Nope, it's common and it's just going to get worse. And as our social safety net is curtailed, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's going to get worse in small town rural America when they start, when they're coming after SNAP payments, they're going to come
Yes, I
after
just
Social
I just saw a
Security.
report this morning. 2 million people could lose their SNAP benefits altogether. 2 million people in this country.
Yeah.
So what's
And
that going to do? That's going to increase more homelessness.
right,
Now I
right.
got to, now I can't afford my rent because I got to buy food. Well,
And it's not just in the big city rent, in Marion County where we live, it's crazy.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
absolutely
if you
crazy.
worked a full-time job at Walmart, if you worked a 40-hour a week job at Walmart, I don't think you could probably afford a one-bedroom apartment, by yourself. You'd have to have a roommate or whatever.
Right. And I mean, there's all kinds of, I don't know if we want to get into this or not, but there's all kinds of things, rules and regulations that are getting in the way of certain kinds of things. Like, for example, if we wanted to sell our home, we'd have to put in new windows because there isn't, egress from some of the windows in the house. And so it just means, are we going to go through that expense and rent it? And there's all kinds of new landlord rules, and we don't want slumlords. But, some of the rules and regulations that we're imposing on housing are sort of middle class values. I mean, and maybe middle class values. I don't know. I'm just so, my background is, I grew up with an outhouse. We had a
Right.
well out back. And so to me, that's fine. But now it would be it'd be scandalous. Those poor people, they don't have running water, it doesn't bother us a bit. And so I guess the point is that maybe we're taking some of the housing off, you know, off the registry, off of,
Out of the market.
making it so people can't afford it, yeah, out of the market. So I don't know. I like tiny houses. I think that having tiny houses to rent are great. I just think that when I see these McMansions on hillsides around, it's like taking, it's just like I don't know, with all these big giant roofs. It just seems like there could be something done to help people that aren't so affluent.
Agree.
That's
And
not
I
gonna
think
happen.
that's also a disaster waiting to happen is those McMansions. People from my generation are not going to be buying those in the numbers that they have been built. And I don't think the generation younger than us is either. So there's just going to be a whole bunch of those big McMansions that, I mean, I guess you're just going to maybe the solution is to break those up into apartments. I mean, we do see that in old houses. Even in Knoxville, we see old big houses that have been split up into duplexes or triplexes. So yeah, I mean, that's another thing where it's like we have to figure out a solution to this problem, especially, Every answer for the Trump administration is force.
Well,
Like, let's kick everybody out and then it'll look really nice. It's not going to solve any actual problems, but for me, it will look nice.
yes. Um, I'm getting a message. My internet connection is unstable. I hope it's stabilized. But um, I read that in 2 years, all the housing support, I mean, there's a housing office in most county seats. And I read in 2 years, all that housing support is going to go away from the federal government. So what's going to happen then?
Armageddon, more homeless people.
Yeah,
Let's get into some A
absolutely.
let's get into some AI. Well, by the way, I think your internet is solved, at least for now, Dr. Bob. Let's get into this AI segment. This is from CNN. ICE is reportedly purchasing technology to scan people's eyes from several feet away. The agency issued a notice to purchase artificial intelligence technology that can scan people's eyes to locate and identify those who are in the country illegally. The technology allows agents to capture someone's iris from 10 to 15 away by using the camera on their iPhone with an app that matches the iris with a photo they already have. I'm quoting Steve Beatty here. He's a computer science professor at Metro State University in Denver. The iris is the part of your eye that everybody sees, the color, it has stripes in it. They are unique to an individual. You can do it from quite a distance away, depending upon the magnification of your device. It is important to know that ICE has not confirmed its plans to use the technology in the field. A spokesperson for ICE said the agency uses various forms of technology while respecting civil liberties. Hard to say that with a straight face, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, yeah. We received maybe a few months ago, or I saw on Facebook a few months ago, a post by our sheriff, Jason Sandholt, who's a friend of ours, about this new monitoring system that was going up on the county highways. It's not, it's just to help law enforcement. It's not going to impact us in any way. And, and what I've learned since then from an acquaintance, I wouldn't say friend, maybe near friend, Jessica Burbank, and follow her on Instagram if you're interested. She has a new documentary out about this technology, this organization called Flock, which is going into small communities, into counties, into cities, and offering to set up these surveillance systems, all to help law enforcement. And she says sometimes they come in, they're on the consent agenda, the public doesn't even know. I mean, did we know, and we could pay attention, did we know that this service was coming into Marion County? No, it was after the fact. Maybe it was on an agenda, maybe it wasn't. But she talks about the perils of Flock and other technologies like it. And they're not, why would they stop with immigrants?
Exactly.
It's going to be for everybody.
Right. And we already live in a surveillance state. This is going to get even worse. And also, I mean, I don't know, we would have to find out more for me to feel comfortable with this because they say, oh, it's like a fingerprint. Well, a fingerprint also isn't necessarily 100% like just yours. And there's just so many abuses that are going to happen with this. I mean, ICE is already an abusive organization to begin with. They're wearing masks and they're deporting people that are US citizens already. So this is just a recipe for disaster. And I can't even believe, I mean, this is, I think, the second or third story that we've done about technology, either companies or a university working with ICE. It's like, man, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you're going to use your brains and your knowledge to to create a technology like this that's going to help out ICE? Come on, man.
Yeah. It's a surveillance state. And it's that we're living in it right now.
You want to hear the factoid of the week, Dr. Bob?
Sure.
It is a little disgusting, just so you know, but a chemical compound used in vanilla flavoring and scents comes from the anal glands of beavers. So the vanilla scent could be due to the animal's diet of bark and leaves. Whatever the reason, chances are you've encountered said bottom debris. The anal glands of beavers helps flavor vanilla?
Well, I guess I didn't know that. I know that vanilla is a plant. It's a, we harvest the vanilla plant, we harvest the pods, and that's where vanilla comes from. Maybe it's an additive, but
Yeah,
I
it's a
have,
chemical, it's a used in vanilla flavoring. So a chemical compound used in vanilla flavoring and scents, by the way.
so fake vanilla then.
Maybe that's what it means. I'm not exactly sure on whether or not they use the anal gland scents in, like the McCormick's vanilla that you get at the store, or if this is like, maybe Glade scents or something that like, yeah, maybe it's imitation vanilla.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All I know is there aren't enough. I mean, beavers are pretty amazing. Castor canadensis, and that's the Latin name for them. They're,
Love it.
just very interesting. I don't see enough of them. I see a lot of beaver sign on the Des Moines River, but I mean, beaver populations are really down since I was a kid, and I just think we need to leave them alone. I just think what a lot of effort. And then what do they do with the rest of the beaver?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't really want to know necessarily how this is harvested.
Well, I mean, it's like any other animal product. I mean, I guess I think that we should leave the beaver alone, but it's not any more disgusting than the fact that in your McDonald's hamburger, there might be pieces of 1,000 different cows in it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of gross stuff. By the way, I did also see that sloths, you know how we had talked a couple weeks ago how Korean people don't have body odor? I saw that sloths, the animal sloths, their farts don't stink. So they actually do fart, but the methane that makes the smelly fart actually gets um like put into the bloodstream, apparently. So,
Interesting.
yeah, sloths have just SBD, man. Silent but well, I guess it wouldn't be silent but deadly. Just silent, not deadly at all. Just silent.
I wonder what that's an adaptation to. Maybe they're slow moving. They don't want to draw attention to themselves.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. You don't want to be smelling like a fart if you're moving like, a mile per hour.
And so natural selection worked to, to,
Yeah, I mean, the smelly
such that,
sloths got eaten right away, right? And the ones
yeah,
that didn't, boom,
interesting
offspring,
evolutionary
baby.
problem.
So a couple of factoids of the week for you there, Dr. Bob. So now top five one-hit wonders here. Number five, love this song, King Harvest, Dancing in the Moonlight.
I like that song.
Dancing in the Moonlight. Number four, I'm guessing that you don't like this song, but number four is Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
It's okay. Bobby McFerrin is actually very talented. I don't know. And I guess he did that one song to make some money, but he's a talented artist. I
Well,
don't
I'm
even know if
sure,
he's still
I mean, a
alive.
lot of one-hit wonders are extremely talented. But yeah, for whatever reason, they just had the one hit. Number three is Vanilla Ice. Ice Ice Baby. Grew up with Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. And
I,
still a fantastic song.
but I mean, did he just have one hit?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think he ever had. I mean, he may have had another like a coat because a lot of these might have had like a coattail single or whatever that made it in the top 40 just because, oh, hey, here's the new song by so and so. But really they just had the one big hit. Number two, again, one of my favorite songs of all time is Soft Cell, Tainted Love.
Yeah, I
Dun,
don't
dun,
like it.
Tainted Love. Dun, dun. Not a singer, by the way. Number one is The Kingsmen, Louie Louie. That's Dr. Bob's jam. I know it is.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I didn't know it was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
The Kingsmen.
How about, all right, how about, well, first I have to say, I wonder if Vanilla Ice had any extract from beavers.
Thank
So
you.
I have
Thank
to
you for
loop that.
making thank you for making that connection, that callback. I appreciate it.
I mean, I remember a one-hit wonder when I was a kid called the Monster Mash.
Fantastic. Love that song.
Yeah. And I have to ask, was Afternoon Delight a one-hit
It
wonder?
was. So I basically just went to the Wikipedia page of one hit wonders, and absolutely. What was the band like the Starland Vocal Group or something like that? I think Starland something sang Afternoon Delight. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
absolutely one of the and also
Terrible
the
song.
the Pina Colada song that we mentioned last week is one of the top five worst songs. Also, what was that guy's name? Rupert something?
Oh my God. Rupert. Oh,
Rupert
I
Evans,
forget.
maybe? I don't know. We'll send everybody else to Google. That's not even worth a Google for us, Dr. Bob. Anything that we missed?
Well, we miss a lot, Spencer, every week. I mean, there's a lot we
I
could
know.
do.
But anything
We
that's
should.
been chomping at the bit that you've been thinking about that you want to get off your chest?
Well, yeah, something I keep thinking about, Trump putting, we'll have to come back to something more positive. Trump putting, I mean, him rewriting facts and putting people in place that are willing to lie, destruction of statistics, impaired waters, him just, bending everything to his reality, putting all of these, troops on the street. What is this in preparation for? And to me, and I always think worst case scenario for Trump. And so here's the worst case scenario is he's setting in place our acceptance of his maybe not a majority, but a whole lot of Americans are willing to accept everything that he says. And so he's practicing with these troops, with these ICE agents, with all of these investments into surveillance and into lies and misleading the public, that the next most likely thing he's going to do is mislead us about our midterm elections.
Yeah,
And I think that he could well be willing to say that the elections aren't secure, so we're going to postpone them.
right.
And that everybody's going to say, wow, the elections aren't, they're not secure. We're going to have to, postpone them. And 30% of the population is going to believe it. But so if everything with Trump has been the worst case scenario, worse than the worst case scenario most people can imagine. So I think, and people are going to say, oh, this is all hyperbole, Bob. It's exaggeration. You're overreacting, but he's setting the stage perfectly um, to delay the next election and declare martial law and become dictator.
Yippee. I don't know how to
And I
do a
think I
positive.
lost you, Spencer.
You're back now, but first of all, I agree. Also, I will say that we've been doing this podcast for about 2.5 years now, and I think a lot of our predictions have come true. I don't think we've ever really
Yeah.
gone wrong by imagining the worst case scenario because that's usually what happens, not only with Trump, but also with Governor Reynolds and our state Republicans as well. So I guess prepare for the worst because that's probably what's going to happen.
Well, right. And the only good thing that can come out of this is that we can fight, we can band together, we can do whatever we can do to try to make it so it doesn't happen and build community and just engage and you know just do whatever little bit we can, donate to progressive groups, donate to candidates, write letters to the editor, whatever you can do, decide what you can do so that when your kids or grandkids say, what did you do when Trump tried to become dictator in America? You can say, I fought like hell. Make your children and grandchildren proud.
Make sure you follow us on Substack. Thanks to everybody that follows us already. We've passed the 500 subscriber mark, so that's a lot. That's really cool that 500 plus now people are subscribing to us on Substack. We're available to listen to wherever you listen to podcasts, and we are utilizing video now, so we post that on Substack. It also gets posted to YouTube as well if you want to check that out. Make sure you follow us wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, or on Substack. And then again, make sure you follow Dr. Bob's Substacks as well. Dr. Bob, always a pleasure. Even though it's not always the funnest conversation, you always do make me feel a little bit better. It's almost like a therapy session. So I can't wait till we can get together next week, and hopefully your descent into madness slows down a little bit.
It continues.
We can continue that next week as well. Dr. Bob, always a pleasure. Thanks as always, and we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Spencer. Thanks, everybody.